Oh man, here we are just talking in the green room. I don't even have stuff going. It's just terrible, terrible, terrible. Let's get down here, right there. I never got a beat. Welcome, 21-6 to net. This is Bridges, Simple Tension, where we believe build a bridge better than part of the town.
Better.
I'm closer.
I say that.
Oh, it's good. Of course, 21-6 to net is proud to say that Natural Therapy Wellness Center helped us out this morning with financial support. www.com 855-385-8190. Today, with Phil Wallace, the entrepreneur, the author, the man, the plan.
I'll take it. I think if it comes to me now, I'll take it. International Man of Mystery, Father Pastor, the D. Joe.
All right, welcome in, folks. Here we go, the bridge. Welcome back down in Texas with your son and the family last week. Glad that you made it back.
Sister Ginger, she's having a boy.
Boy.
Awesome. I can get basketball equipment instead of guns. I was going to bad boy too.
Because if it was a girl, you'd get guns?
I would have bad boy too the crap out of somebody. You're at least 30.
Absolutely. Just awesome. And welcome in. This week there's still a lot happening. And in Chicago, it's like the Wild West now. It's bizarre. And there was there was that police officer who was shot in the line of duty by a real bad guy or a couple of guys. And that is part of the risks of that job. And we feel bad, of course. Some of the reaction, and I'm not on social media, but I saw a couple people post like hashtag say her name. I'm just like, oh God, come on. And it's just, to me, I was just like, all right. And it's not, it's more of a poke at people and what is happening in the movement that's been made, right, rather than
genuine care about the
right.
officer. It's like this moment of death to be sarcastic,
yeah,
versus mature. That makes sense.
That makes sense. And then, of course, Monday here in Northern Illinois, kids go back to school.
Right. Some started yesterday.
Some started yesterday? Wow. Okay. To me, that just seems like they just got out of school.
Super fast.
Just amazing.
So long summer.
Yeah, right. And now it's 200 degrees, it's humid, and a lot of these schools don't have air conditioning. And now the kids have to sit there all day with masks on. So there's a mask mandate the Illinois Department of Health has issued. The governor also backed it and said, hey, if you're in a public school anyway, right, whether you're vaccinated or you're not, a lot of these kids have been vaccinated. A lot of the teachers, most teachers probably have too, have now said, everybody's got to wear a mask. Teachers, right, students, you name it. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think we're talking about this a little bit in the green room. I can't say that one side is right or wrong. I see, as far as both sides trying to be safe, at the same time the frustration where we just went through a year of this, mm-hmm, want to be done with the mask. Some people have their beliefs as far as this is a hoax. Some people believe that this is the worst thing that ever happened. Yep. It's got to be somewhere in the middle where it's like, hey, listen, I understand that this person did have real life people in their family pass away from COVID. I would understand why they would want masks worn. Or this person does have a family, so they would appreciate other people wearing a mask around them so that they can go home to their families too.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago on the grounds, we talked about the mask mandate and things like that. It's the psychological effect it has on kids. Right. Lucy, my daughter, is in 7th grade, and that's always just a weird time for all kids. Middle school is weird. You got different things happening in your body, and hormones and thoughts, and it's weird. But now we gotta wear a mask. Does that have some sort of psychological effect on the kids? A lot of the research that I've done, like Hong Kong, that's typical over in Hong Kong, even when there isn't the pandemic. That if you're in class,
You're wearing a mask.
you're wearing a mask.
So then it doesn't have any mental effect.
Doesn't have right. What they've been able to track or find out is it doesn't have a big mental. There's really nothing that they can track there, right?
Would you say is that because they didn't make it, I'd say like an overly big deal? It was more so this is what we do to prevent blank versus
Could be.
being weighed back and forth on either side.
Keep talking.
It was more so that this is the standard. This is what we're doing to make sure that these types of pandemics do not happen over in this country.
Maybe.
That's what that sounds like to me. If it's not a situation where the practice is the cause, maybe the perspective of the practice is the cause, and that's something completely different. And I
can hear you.
all right, well,
Makes
a difference. When
Great job producing the show. Thanks, Pete, for turning the microphone on. I'm like, wow, I should be able to hear you. Yeah. Say that again.
All right, now that they can hear me. As far as with it being in China, maybe because there wasn't a whole bunch of stigma or any fear placed on the mask. It was more so this is what we're doing to make sure that everybody is taken care of and preserved and safe in this country. No pandemic breaks out.
Right.
So it's not the practice, mask. It's the perspective on the practice.
Yeah. And Hong Kong's a little island. I mean, so there's a lot of people packed in there. What I would say is, with the mask mandate is think about all of the private school people who have to dress like one another. You've taken away a freedom. There's a lot of people, the freedom. Well, in private school, everybody wears a uniform. So
no one's pressed about that.
And you pay a lot of money for that.
Right.
Right. And they're really not suppressed about that. To me, I think a lot of times, if I can't live, if I live in a world where I come up to a 4-way stop,
right, and
you're not going to obey that stop sign coming from my right or my left, I got to trust that you're going to stop. Right. So if you think about it, every four-way stop you pull up to, you're like, yeah, everybody's going to stop.
Everybody's going to do what they're supposed to.
They're going to do what they're supposed to. Right. And if I live in a world where I can't count on you to stop,
right,
I'm going to try to avoid every 4-way stop. It's going to be mayhem.
You have to.
Right. So instead of taking a look at my kid, I can continue as we talk about here several times. What are the conversations you're having at home? What's the education you're giving them at home? Is let's take a look at that 28-year-old teacher who's sitting in that classroom for 8 to 10 hours a day,
right, with
a bunch of snotty-nosed kids, gross-smelling kids,
right,
no air conditioning. I mean, shouldn't I have a little empathy for that teacher? I mean, he or she could, you're like, oh, yeah.
I think though at the same time, if I'm that 28-year-old teacher and I got to choose between musty kids and life, bring on the smells.
Yeah,
I'd much rather have, and you're gonna have that as a teacher or a coach anyway. Oh my god, some of these kids. Parents,
here's some old.
As a concerned coach, I don't care if it's right guard, I don't care if it's secret. But your kids are telling on themselves because they.
That's right. Trust me.
But I'd much rather understand that I'm coming home at the end of the day healthy.
Yeah.
And having to deal with that, you got to put a fan in your room. But these teachers see on average 100 and something easily.
Yeah.
Kids a day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of opportunities to roll the dice.
Yeah, you figure what 30 kids for 7 periods. It's 200, right?
Right.
I mean that's
So. That's a lot of opportunity, and it's a confined space. It's no circulation there.
No circulation.
So you're in there,
yeah,
hoping that every cough or whatever isn't releasing.
Well, and you're not carrying around your own desk either. So you were in there in period 2. I'm coming right behind you, sitting at the same desk. You're sitting there sneezing, hacking, wiping your boogers all over everything.
Right.
And I roll in
I
like
do that from time to time. I apologize.
But I mean, you know what? You never think of that either. You're
exactly.
Like, all right.
You go to study hall, like you're saying. There's how many people were in that desk before me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I can't tell a teacher, especially in the situation where I'm not one.
Right.
Hey, all of you guys should just not wear a mask and be cool with hundreds of kids being shoved into your classroom.
But for years, we were okay with that.
I understand things change.
But at the same time, for years, there wasn't a pandemic. There wasn't a virus that could kill you.
Right.
I mean, there probably were, but
I mean, you're going to have people who throw out their percentages, and I hear you, and I'm not saying that side is wrong. It's saying, well, only this percentage actually passed. Here's the thing that I've seen. I've seen someone be sarcastic about the numbers, and I've seen someone tear up because they lost 3 family members from
that's right.
the disease. Who's right? Who's wrong?
No.
Because in this person's world, their brother, their mom, and their dad are now gone.
Right.
And you're quoting out stats. I can't tell her or this person not to wear a mask and just be cool with whatever the consequences may be.
Sure. And, at the same time on this show, we'll have conversations with people who try to throw stats. Right?
Quite often.
And a lot of people just live in that statistical realm.
Right.
Well, the
stats show that.
Hey, listen, on the south side of Chicago, there were 64 people shot, 10 died last weekend.
Right.
And that was,
Right.
Okay. Let's get outside of the south side of Chicago and let's look at the bigger picture, because if one story is happening in the south side of Chicago and it's the same story on the north side of North Dakota,
might want to pay attention.
Right? You might want to start listening. And that's I think the dangerous thing with Lucy, my 7th grader. We talked to her and we're like, we got her vaccinated. And people, and I'm like, no, we talked with her through it. Pros, cons, what we know, what we don't know. And we told her, like, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you won't, it could still mean you have to wear the mask.
Right.
And then the mandate came out,
you don't wear the mask.
And you got to wear a mask. Now, the good news is, I think, is that people have to kind of take their opinion. And again, we talked about this maybe months ago, Phil, and say, okay, let me look inside your world.
Right.
Yes. Oh my God, you lost 3 people. Not, I'm just saying, you lost 3 people close in your family to this virus.
Right.
And nobody in my house got sick. So this is bullshit. Wait a minute. It's not. It's a real thing. I lost my dad.
Right.
My dad died from this. Oh. Now I may think differently, And
I think that's people being aware or open-minded that their experience is not the only experience before you open your mouth. So, like, adamantly about a topic, understand, like, that this was reality for some people. Yeah. You can't just say, oh, it's a hoax and they're making it up. All right, well, this person hits you or this person, doesn't talk to you anymore or whatever the case may be. Like, you're being ridiculously insensitive. This person's like real life experience,
right?
Over life in your bubble. I don't think that's right.
And if the last thing that could ever happen, right, is somebody goes, let me think about that differently.
Right.
That's what the bridge is all about. Let's have your opinion. Let's state it. Don't force your opinion down me. That's your opinion.
Right.
But let's have a good conversation about it. Let's talk about it. The school, I'm sure, has talking points, right, for when parents are upset or whatnot. But maybe let's talk to those kids. Maybe those kids could give 2 shits about those masks because, hey, I'm in school with my buddies,
right,
instead of in a Zoom.
I mean, that's what Elijah said. Elijah, I was like, are you nervous about wearing a mask again? No, I just want to go to school.
That's it.
I mean, obviously, like, his first year of school was last year, so that's kind of his experience with school is a mask. He doesn't know any other way of doing it. Yep. But now he's not like, they're making us. The man is oppressed. Just like,
right,
bro, you're in the 1st grade. Chill out.
Right.
But he was just like, no, I just want to go to school. And it wasn't an overthought. It wasn't anything else. And maybe that's because this is his experience with it. But, like, I don't think that it has to be this horrible thing as far as the understanding of this is just making sure that more people are going to be safe.
Yeah. I mean, Lucy is, the middle school, as we said, is a weird time. And, of course, girls want to look pretty and whatnot. And you can't necessarily do that with a mask.
Right.
You can try to bedazzle it, I guess, but it is what it is.
Kids will figure it out.
And kids will. They will figure it out. So the interesting thing is, what is normal, what is not, and when you don't have a political agenda, when you're a kid in first grade, seventh grade, and you don't have a political agenda, you're like, hey man, it is what it is.
Right.
Let's go. Right.
That's what we need to do.
And I think that irritates a lot of people in our society when all of a sudden, wait a minute, you didn't put an R or a D in front of that. Right. Wait a second. Oh, you can't think that way.
You do that?
Which side are you taking? You can't put a color in front of that. Wait a second.
Right.
That you can't think that way. Oh, but I can.
It's just preservation of life for good people, without agendas.
Without agendas.
That's how it should be.
Right. And that's and that's it was 2 weeks ago when we talked about equity and equality. I got a lot of emails and a lot of people came back and they go, I never really looked at it that way.
Right.
And now you go, aha. We're breaking some ground here because now your fight isn't necessarily, on the racial side, isn't necessarily the same.
Right.
Because I've been standing up for one thing when you've been standing up for another. And all I can say is, bootstraps and work hard. Right. And
I got to find these people that you talk to to start conversations. Bootstraps.
So I think that as we look at the way that are 6'4", right? Are you less menacing to people when you wear your face mask? Do you think?
I can't say that I would be. That was actually a conversation me and my mom had.
Okay.
Like when things first started off, she's like, well, make sure you put your mask on before you go into the store. I'm like, I'm a 6'4" black dude in Crystal Lake. I'm not putting a mask on before I go in a grocery store. You're trying to get me killed.
Right.
Fast forward 60 days. Like, that's just what you have to do. I hope I'm not more menacing. I have one that says good vibes only, just so people could think, the positive side versus me masked up.
But
yeah, it's something to consider. Like, it is a thought of, man, I'm going to this place face covered, 6'4" black dude.
Right. Or is it scarier? There's a piece, I think, that if I'm walking down the street and I see a gang coming at me and they all have surgical masks on, I might go, instead of
consider it though.
Yeah. Instead of, they take the mask off and they've got 69 or something on their tattooed on their face or whatever. You might go, I don't know if that. And we appreciate you tuning in 69.
If I ever get robbed with someone with rainbow hair.
Right. So I take a look at, the quote unquote mandate, and people say, well, you're taking away my freedoms, right? You're forcing us to do this. As I said, I've taken away your freedom to go straight through that 4-way intersection with a stop sign.
Right.
Isn't that kind of the same thing? I'm hoping that you stop.
But isn't it like if they said, like, your freedom is, you have the freedom to express your freedoms until it inconveniences someone else's freedom.
Right.
I can swing my arms how I want to until they hit you, and then I should probably stop. All right, I have the freedom to not wear a mask, but if my germ particles could endanger you that leads your household, I need to change my freedom in that aspect. And I think that people are missing that part.
I mean, and let's jump back. I mean, when the AIDS epidemic came out in the 80s, people were getting sued, and because you knew you had it. Right. And you went out and infected other people and killed them.
Right. That's attempted murder, right?
Something. But hey, you knew you weren't vaccinated and you came in without a mask, and you got Julie sick, who took it home and gave it to her grandma, who died. So now
that's on you.
We're going to sue you. I mean, it may end up coming to that, right? I mean,
you don't want it to.
You don't want it to, right? And that's the tough thing. Now, at the same time, you can take a look. Like, my nephew just got married, and they're on their honeymoon out in Italy, I don't see anybody in Italy with masks on. That was like the big epicenter of the whole thing back in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. They show a lot of pictures. I haven't seen anybody mask up. Now, if that was the epicenter of this place, and
Right.
half their population passed, or whatever it was, how
Probably didn't have Lollapalooza in Italy.
right. But there was only, interesting. I heard today with Lollapalooza, it wasn't a super spreader. There was only 200 people in there who ended up getting the Delta variants. Most of 90% of the people there were vaccinated. 138 were Illinoisans who came down with it, but it wasn't. None of it was severe enough to put anybody in the hospital. So those 200 people.
Good.
So you kind of look at things and go, well, maybe what we're doing is working. But at the same time, it goes back to simple, just humanity.
Right.
What kind of human are you? And is it okay to say, wow, the way life was in 2015 isn't the same way today?
Right.
Same thing goes with a lot of what we talk about on this show. Life back in the 1800s, a lot different than the way it is today. And, or the 1692, whatever. So as we talk about that, Phil, it's okay to say times have changed and we can look at things differently.
Yeah.
Why can we look at things differently in some cases, but we can't in all?
I think when it's like the personal inconvenience where a person has to feel that they're missing out on something, that's when it's no longer personally beneficial. So now I have a problem with it.
Right.
At the same time, like you said, what we're doing works. So if it's working, let it continue working because clearly it's not gone yet.
Right.
Let's have it work maybe for another 6 months or whatever the case may be that's needed. I'm not the expert. I'm just suggesting that if something's working and minimizing numbers, so don't be so much in a rush to have them spike again.
Well, so here's what I want to tell people. Why is it in 20, we'll just go back 3 years. In 2018, if we would have said your kids have to wear a surgical mask at school, y'all would have flipped out. Now half or more than half the population is okay with it.
Great.
Okay. So what is important now is what's the noise that's being made. And some are very okay with it. On racial issues, we're saying the same thing, but you all will get mad if we bring up racial issues that says, listen, this is what the noise is today.
Right.
We're trying to bring this to your attention. And so we talk about this all the time. Why is it okay to talk about the virus and things, how life has changed? And you're going to defend a lot of that or you're going to be mad at it.
Right.
But if we bring up a racial issue and say, wait, this is how we are treated. This is how this happens. You all go, no way. Right? So as we look at life in that aspect, why are we so scared as a community, as a people, to talk about that?
I'm just going down that road because then the mask is oppression, but other stuff is not. This is unfair, and not a victim. This you guys are stretching and being a victim.
Hey, but you're vaccinated. Still got to wear the mask. Hey, man, you're free. You're in America.
Still laying on the ground.
Again, equity.
Right.
Right. Right.
And it's unfortunate because then it's like when people are in those situations and they
amen, Tim,
do the victim or whatever you want to call it, then it's like it makes it hard to have sympathy to an extent because like when I was trying to tell you the same thing, I was told to shut up and stop playing the victim.
Correct.
But then you want me to have sympathy because you have to wear a mask. You don't get shot. You don't get stereotyped. You're just wearing a mask so other people are protected.
Yeah.
That's oppression, but this isn't. But you want me to feel bad for you?
Right.
And you're going to run into people who don't have sympathy in that aspect.
But hey, you can walk around with that mask on. But that's one of my freedoms. Yeah, but you still can walk around with that mask on.
Right.
Interesting. Tim says, I wonder if those 200 people still think it was worth it to see Limp Bizkit. The way I hear that Limp Bizkit is gone, I would say no. They really are not quite the same.
Or
band.
Fred Durst.
Right. Out there. And so here we are, and from this show, I've learned to kind of look at things differently, with quote unquote freedoms, with things, hey, now we start to understand. To your point, well, why are you oppressed now because you have to wear a mask? I could walk around without a mask on, and I still got treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I want to ask people out there who's listening and watching. If you don't wear a mask, that's cool, whatever, right?
Right.
If you go into and we'll just a superstore for groceries or whatever the case may be, and you see somebody wearing a mask, what's the first thing that goes through your mind? Is it like, weirdos wearing a mask?
Still drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right. Or you go, thank you for being safe and watching out for my health. Now, if the first thing that runs through your mind is, weirdo, wearing a mask, that's weird. That's the same way with racial issues. Oh, I'm going to judge you because of the color of your skin.
Right.
I don't know. Right?
True. I mean, because you're not taking the time to consider, again, this person may have had a person they've lost.
They may have leukemia. Whatever. Right? I don't know.
They may be, there's so many people who have higher risk of infection, so they have to wear the mask.
Right.
Why are we gonna judge them? Why are we gonna be like, this weirdos and this grocery store, I won't use a name.
Right.
Versus like, all right, well, person's being safe. I can't knock them for doing that.
Yeah, can't.
On the way over here, thinking about like, the gun law, right? Me and you, to the best of my knowledge, we're not gun enthusiasts. We appreciate them, but I don't think you have 2 in the sock, 2 in the waist.
Mine's right. Is it mine up here?
The water gun?
My firearm's over there.
Yeah, the Nerf gun.
Yeah.
You're not 2 in the waist, one across the shoulder.
Right.
You're not Rambo or anything about that. But we have friends who are gun enthusiasts and absolutely love them. And, in my mind, if I walk in with a friend who has one, who feels like if anybody did anything as Walmart, I'll protect people, I'd be safe.
Yep.
He's choosing to carry. He's choosing to wear protection for himself. Okay, cool. I don't knock him and call him a weirdo because he's got, one in the car or, whatever. Like, he's trying to protect himself. These people are trying to protect themselves.
Yep.
Why are we making fun of being derogatory towards them for trying to do what they feel is safe or to make sure that their family is okay? I don't understand that.
I think a lot of the conversation has I want to impose on you my philosophy and my opinion. And that's what breaks down a lot of good conversations. Back growing up, I hate the Packers. Tim loves the Packers, right? Oh, Packers, right? They're jerks, right?
Right.
Hey, we have a caller. Yeah, obviously I didn't silence the phone. But the idea is, hey, you know what I mean? I absolutely hate, this. And we could talk about it and razz each other,
right,
and still be friends. But now, Tim can't be my friend because I don't like the Packers. There's so many fights now because of that. I mean, it's kind of the same
that's just
thing.
Logical. You're a Bears fan, like a good American patriot. No, I'm just
right. And what bothers Bears fans about me is I hate the Packers, but I love their quarterbacks. They always get quarterbacks who are just, they're champions. They win, right? That's what you need to do. So, and people are like, you can't do that because I can. I really appreciate that they've figured out how to get a quarterback, and the Bears haven't for 105 years. But anyway, enough said.
I think we did now. Hopefully,
we'll see. We'll see. But there's no more just good conversation back and forth, right? To let me try to understand where you're coming from. Instead is, well, I see what you're saying, but my opinion says you're wrong, so I'm not going to listen to you.
Do you have are you nearsighted, farsighted?
I can see close. I can't see far away.
Okay.
Whatever one that is.
I mean, if I put on your glasses, it's probably going to be weird for me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You've done that before. You're like, whoa, this guy.
You want to try them? And they're progressive, so, I mean, there's...
Yeah.
Hey, they look good on you, though.
I all of that on the screen is kind of.
Hey, Ted Legal, good morning.
I see the word nice, and there's love.
Yeah.
And I see Ted.
That's nice and love. Look at the words you pull out. Huh?
Right? And
Oh.
Ted. Nice Ted that I love. Cool. Awesome
now, somebody sent some Tylenol. He's going to get a headache. Right?
But you should spend the whole time trying to have me look through your glasses.
Right.
That was painful.
Yeah.
Like most of that dialogue. If I'm only trying to spend the entire time making you see things through my lenses,
right.
through my perspective, that was what I was prescribed for. I see things a different way.
Yeah.
I should be fine with you wearing glasses, me not doing that right now. You feel that you should wear a mask, I feel that I shouldn't, or you feel that you should be vaccinated.
Right. So the racial issue goes like this then. What do you mean? My glasses don't give me a headache. What are you, stupid? You know what I mean? You're crazy. You're not even making sense. They don't give me a headache. Well, that's because I need them.
Right. But, I mean, and in that situation, keeping with the analogy, I'm not the one who needs my vision checked.
Very good.
You
very good. Very good. Hey, people, I think we got a break. Hey, that's nice. Write that down. It is recorded. So I think that if you take a look at the arguments that are being, and in this way we wanted to talk about it, I think the arguments that are being made for masks or mask mandates, or I should, you shouldn't, and race are basically the same.
Right.
Now we're starting to understand. There's got to be that aha moment someplace that goes, oh, aha, right? But in the meantime, you have that one person, that teacher who's in it all day, right?
Right.
And there are people who are like, Ted has a beautiful wife, and she's African American. He's not.
Right.
He and his kids are in it all day. He's the teacher, right?
Right.
And people who look through some different glasses, are that way.
Right.
It's weird, right? But I can't understand Ted's situation, and there are people who don't know Ted's wife who may come up and say, yeah, blankety blankety blank.
Right.
My wife is a blankety blankety blank.
What?
Right. Because of their lens, right? Banwei, how are you? All the way from, hold on, it'll come to me. I don't know. It'll come to me. Hang on.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I've been watching for some time now because I've been in bushes. Our country had a civil war. Hope everyone is doing well.
Yeah. So hey, bless you. We hope you are doing well. Thanks for tuning in. So it's Cameroon, I think. Yeah. So Cameroon is where Mbanwe is from. So stay safe. There's no joke there. Civil war, dangerous. We're praying for you, brother. So hopefully all is good. So, yeah.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And there, you think we have it bad because of a mask? He's living through a civil war.
Right.
Seriously.
Perspective.
Yeah. We'll weigh that out. That's something only the ghosts in Pennsylvania can talk about, right?
This makes it hard for my kids to concentrate. This little kid had a bomb outside.
Yeah, literally. So an amazing thing is that now I hope that people make that connection. Now, you're forcing my kid to wear a mask, and okay, but there's a lot of people's opinions and the way people act that isn't forced, that have been pushed on a certain group of people throughout the history of this great nation.
True.
Right? And many of us get mad and go, wait a minute, you can't say that. Constitution, right? And it's okay. Yeah, thanks, Ted. Ted says he'll pray for you in Bounwe. So, and I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize. The M might be silent, or the B might. I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know.
How do you pronounce?
Yeah. Alphonse Timon.
Yeah.
It's kind of French, I think. I don't know. Cameroon. Might it be French? I have no idea. I don't even know where Cameroon is. I thought it was a cookie for the longest time.
Cameroon cookie.
I don't know. I thought it was something that the Girl Scouts sold. So when it comes to what's going on, and chime in, feel free to let us know where your thoughts are on the mask mandates here in Illinois, if you're from Illinois, or from your state if you don't have that mask mandate. Where are you sitting with the thoughts as kids are starting to go back to school? Which I will say this: thank God it's not on Zoom anymore. Right? It could end up being if things get crazy. But where are you at with this, and where are your kids at? Have you talked with them? What's going on? Have you helped them understand the reasons why, instead of going, they're taking away your liberties, taking away your freedoms. Right. So those bus drivers and your children and you hope that when that bus stops and that arm goes out, that people actually stop. Right. Because if we can't expect people to do that, we're in trouble. We got problems, big problems, right? So it's an interesting fact, and perhaps 10 years from now, our kids may go, how lucky are you guys to not have to wear masks in school?
Right.
I
mean, but then hopefully if we got through this window of time where that's what's necessary, and 5-10 years from now, we don't have to wear masks anymore. It's like, thank God we got through that window so that the next generation doesn't have to continue wearing masks because these keep spiking up because we keep feeling that we're, oppressed by having to wear a mask. Meanwhile, my cell service has cut out twice driving to Des Plaines while this guy is tuning in from a bush across the globe.
So true. So true. Problems with Americans, right?
Man.
Literally.
Third world problems.
Literally.
Versus first world opportunity, baby. No, I'm sorry.
Listen, and in Mbamwe, I hope you have your earphones in. So if you are hiding in the bush, that
they can't hear us laugh.
Either that, or hopefully it relaxes both sides, because 21.6 Net is such a riveting station.
Facts.
You're getting your daily dose of encouragement here on 21.6 Net. So I think I see a big correlation and a big parallel to this mask conversation as opposed with the race conversation. And if you can't draw those parallels, then boy, that's a weird thing to me, right? And it's everything that Phil, you have been saying since we started this show, is that why now? Well, because that's what needs to be talked about and dealt with now.
Right.
We would never. What kind of show would we have had in 2019 if we were talking about a mask mandate on this station? People would have tuned out like, what are you guys talking about? This is insane.
There's nothing to talk about here.
But I can guarantee you that several of our listeners are like, you're taking away my liberties and my freedoms. Why?
Right.
It's not my choice. I should be able to choose to wear a mask. Well, it's not my choice that, there's racism. You and I talked about it when I said, hey, wait, over here in Africa, they are celebrating that they built the new world.
Right.
And to your reply, it's just ruminated with me. It's like, yeah, but I can still walk down a street and somebody calls me boy. There's still racism blatantly out loud out front here in America.
Right. So their experience is a little different.
Right. So, and for the haters or the people out there who are going to say, yeah, but as a white guy, there's reverse racism. No, racism is racism.
Right.
And yes, you can go to a particular area. You talked about it. Was it you? Yeah, I think it was you. And your college teammate or whatever, or maybe it wasn't. I forget who it was who said, "Hey, I want to come home with you on a break, and you're like, cool, let's go. And this might have been JR
I
actually,
think it was JR.
and then he's like, I want to go home with you on a break, and the white kid's like, no, you don't, because it was in South Carolina.
It's JR.
Yeah, and he's like, what do you mean? He goes, you don't trust me.
Trust me.
It's not my family.
Yeah, well, we've had that. We've had that. We've had even visiting friends from college who are around areas of Ohio. I say it that way.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, when you go here, make sure you stay on this road.
Yeah. Excuse me?
What?
Yeah.
No, like, trust me. But like, when you rewind back to meeting this person, they had a lifted pickup truck with a Confederate flag, and we had to be like, so confused because you're nice, but you understand that this flag means blah blah blah, but where that person came from in this area, the town was on that. So
right, and and I said that for the longest time. Like, what do you mean, man? The Dukes of Hazzard, General Lee, whatever. The Dixie flag. That's pride of the South. Well, what is pride of the South?
I mean,
right.
But you ask those people like those questions, and they say that response when they're the majority. Like if I were to ask you, same mindset, not even after doing the show, would you drive the Dukes of Hazzard car to the south side of Chicago?
I'm crazy enough of mine. But you can jump things in the General Lee. That would be my train of thought, right?
You ask most people if they would drive that to the west side or south side of Chicago. They instantly.
You taking that to Elmwood?
They instantly know that Southern Pride stuff it was just a cover up, and they know exactly what it means.
Right.
I don't know. You know how people would react to that. Oh, why? Because a minute ago it just meant Southern Pride, so
I'm just trying to
curious
connect here.
on why all of a sudden now it's not such a good idea when it's not a 500-to-1 ratio.
Right. Yeah. Would you dress in that white hood and go?
the coastal story when I had the Confederate flag hat, because I was just so tired of seeing so many people in South Carolina, which is just the culture. I mean, they have the souvenir shops and everything's Confederate flag, but oh no, you're getting so uptight about it. Okay, so now wear a hat across campus, and like, do you know what that means? Same thing I've been telling you guys for like 2 months now is what it means. Yeah, it doesn't change now because I'm wearing it.
Right.
I thought it would just meant the Dixie Chicks, apparently, or whoever else.
Now just the chicks, and thank you for tuning in, chicks. We appreciate that. So here it is now, 2021, and we're talking about taking away freedoms from kids. They can't breathe. I've seen that too. Have you seen these hashtags out there? Hashtag can't breathe, no mask mandate. Time out. That's a party foul, right? They can breathe, number one. Right? But don't try to hook it on to something that means something totally different.
Now you care about
people who can't breathe. Now you care about people who can't breathe.
Why is it done in such a slap in the face, sarcastic manner? Again, you're doing things with the wrong intention.
That's why.
Spiteful spirit, and you're hoping that it's going to be blood. It's not going to happen.
That's why.
Right? And then I can't get passionately on board with what you're saying, even if I wanted to help, your kid breathe.
Right.
I'm still sitting here with my arms crossed, like you're trying to joke about what happened to the black dude.
Right.
Okay, because I remember you didn't care about this, but now you want me to support they can't breathe.
Oh no,
sarcastically.
No, they cared about it, but he was a felon.
Do you know what your kids do? Never mind.
Yeah, right. So we had an excuse for why you were angry at my hashtag can't breathe.
Right. But I mean, at the same time, we've discussed this in the past, that some of the schools in our district are one of the most drug
all right. So
one of schools in the area. So
Gary, good evening. Over in Singapore, they are obfuscating the various issues. Phil, you might be able to help me out with that. You seem a little bit more intelligent than me. And or Gary, tell me what obfuscating.
Right? I'm over here like Google obfuscating. I love it though.
And at this point, at 9:43 a.m. Central is when a listener threw the show off.
I have no shame in my game.
Yeah,
I'm Googling obfuscating. O-B.
Oh, sorry. I'll do it. O-B F-U-S-C-A-T.
Google is not coming up with anything.
Hey, Gary, help us.
Gary, you broke Google.
You broke Google.
That's impressive.
Obfuscate, maybe? I don't know.
I'm having to show that I'm not a robot. They're having
Yeah.
me find the stairs in the pictures.
Wow, you did break it. That is fantastic. Make obscure, unclear, or unintelligible, much like what we just went through. Right?
Man,
That was the grounds, actually, unclear and unintelligible. Yeah, you're right. They are. They're and that's the funny thing, and I think that's some of what this show is all about. Bridging. We want to have those conversations because now you're taking,
like bewilder.
you know, where, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, Tim. There are rumors of protests. Yeah, here in Northern Illinois, in McHenry, there are parents on social media saying, "Show up with all your signs and everything with hashtag My Kids Can't Breathe and hashtag Kids Lives Matter." Yeah, and if you can't convince them, confuse them. In other words,
Right.
And that's what Phil's saying. Why now, or is it tongue in cheek? Why are you being sarcastic with this when 12 months ago you were like, no, ooh, you were all up in arms.
You have
And
to understand that I like not the irony, but when you're sitting there watching the same people who said all lives matter ask you to come to a kid's lives matter, that it's not nice. I would not suggest that. I would not, only because, and I'm not going to do this. I'm just if you've rubbed the wrong one the right way or the wrong way, however you look
Right.
at it, and they sarcastically say all lives matter, you're going to be upset.
correct,
You're focused on your kids,
correct,
and they're going to say all, and you're not going to like that.
right.
Trust me, from someone who's sat by watching all lives matter response, you don't like it. You wish they would focus on the topic. So when you
Okay.
tongue in cheek and you're sarcastic with people like that,
Well,
you're setting yourself up for.
But let's break that down for a minute. Let's just look at this and let's use the same conversation that we had. Why is it just kids' life mattered now? Why isn't it blue lives or everybody's life?
Right.
Oh,
Teachers' lives.
wait a minute.
Teachers who want to wear the mask.
So now, why? Because you feel that that's important to focus on this group of people, kids. And now it's okay to do that, right? Hashtag I can't breathe. Well, now you are now just feeling some of the circle of the people who a year ago were saying, hey,
exact same thing.
this is the noise because this is what we need to focus on right now. And it's okay to bring that up, but it wasn't a year ago.
Right.
When it was a color and not a kid.
Even though we went right back to supporting a color instead of the other color. We went to blue instead of black.
Right.
All instead of black. Now it's kids.
Right.
Anything but. Never mind.
Right. So I'm going to ask you this. What happens when Phil goes, screw kids, all lives matter?
Phil didn't say that,
No,
but hypothetically, if Phil
Right.
were to say that, because
Phil-
Philip wouldn't.
So Phil shows
Andre
up.
would.
Phil shows up on the other side of the parking lot of the school with a hashtag all lives matter, people.
A bunch of people show up with a bunch of all
Yeah.
lives.
Oh, hey, why is it just kids? I don't have kids. I don't even have kids, but I'm going to show up because all lives matter. Well, that's not right. Now it's wrong.
Now it's wrong.
Now you guys are just being, come on, all lives. Oh,
But okay, so let's say, and this is not far fetched. Let's say
Yep.
that me and a group of people showed up with All Lives Matter shirt and a fight ensued. People would say that we sparked the anger,
Oh, yeah.
the cause of that.
It was
we
just
didn't
a bunch,
physically touch anyone.
just
we
a
didn't-
bunch of moms and dads out there trying to support their kids.
right, and then for no reason at all, these group of hooligans started wearing All Lives Matter shirts, and they're the ones that instigated it, and that's why we responded with fighting them.
Or how about this? How about I show up and I have a sign that say Black Lives Still Matter, hashtag. And I'm across the lot.
They wouldn't like that either.
Would your, hey, kids' lives matter now be upset because I'm still saying, hey, Black Lives Still Matter? Oh, wait a minute.
That's not the focus.
Not the
The
focus.
focus.
We're here for the kids. Hey, we're kids of every color. What happens at that point? Where are you standing now? hashtag I can't breathe, and somebody shows up with a sign that says, hey, neither could George Floyd. And he wasn't wearing a mask.
Right.
Hashtag he wasn't wearing a mask. Oh, now I'm upset because you made it a racist. Well, did I?
Right.
Because basically you're doing that. You're taking those mottos or those slogans that were a year ago, standing for something and saying, oh, let's do this, right? Yeah. Thanks, Gary. Funny how the shoe sometimes doesn't fit on the other feet. It never has here in America. Can I say that? It never has, and that's what we're trying to say. Is it just
Can't do that.
It just never has. However, if you were to look at our glorious history, it always has. It always has.
That's
right?
the play. Run motion.
5 out. So if we start to think about it and look at the way the world looks at things, it's a matter. Ted says, hey, all lives do matter. Make sure to acknowledge people's differences and beliefs. No one says you have to like it. The key is to let people be who they are without promoting hate. Amen.
Right.
However, there are people that hate when you promote something that doesn't have hate. Very, 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 very. Shouldn't burn down cities. That was it,
I mean, the whole motto, like Black Lives Matter, wasn't a hateful statement.
Correct.
But it was responded to with hate.
Correct. We can have differing opinions on the organization. That's a different thing.
Right.
Right.
And I mean, the play is to discredit however we can, but the original saying was because it was said that if y'all's lives mattered to you guys, then they'd matter to us.
Right.
Okay, so Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Well, all lives matter. Well, no. You said that if it mattered to us, it would matter to you. So we said Black Lives Matter. You guys responded with all.
Yeah. Or blue.
Or blue.
Right.
So
yeah.
Any excuse.
So what would happen? And you don't have to respond, folks. I just want you to think what would happen at those schools. I roll up to Woodstock, and on the other side of the parking lot, I get out with my good friends, and we have hashtag Black Lives Still Matter.
Can I see you roll up anywhere, please?
I kind of waddle.
I roll up to Woodstock, right? Me, Ken,
in my minivan. The Silver Mamba, by the way.
The Silver Mamba.
The Silver Mamba. That's the name of it. I'll still catch Kobe Bryant on YouTube or something. And God rest his soul. The guy was just
phenomenal.
It was too soon. Anyway,
Right.
I love it. So that's So he is. I roll up in the Silver Mamba. So that's the way I do.
I roll.
Listening to AM radio. Talk radio.
Have you seen the Swagger Wagon video?
No, Swagger
Wagon.
Wagon.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta try
It's
it.
like white couple on YouTube who pimp out a minivan and they're talking about it's my Swagger Wagon.
Nice.
But they kill it lyrically.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's like a mom.
I'm starting to look at some add-ons and things for mine too.
Please do not get spinners.
No, I won't get the spinners. I might get a little better wheels. Drop it down and make it look like the A-Team. Very good. So when we talk about things on this show, we bring things up, and I hopefully bring them up to irritate you and make you a little bit uncomfortable.
Right.
Because that's how we grow. That's how we get together. That's how we make those conversations. Phil and I have irritated each other on this show, but after the show, we talk it out and hug it out and be like, all right, everything's good. Yeah. Right. See, Gary's like, yeah, that would be a sight seeing him roll up. You got it. But I think it's important to know that no matter what it is, hashtag Kids Lives Matter, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag Blue Lives Matter, is I want to get to know why you feel that way.
Right.
I can't just automatically get angry at why you're doing it. Where are you coming from? Why are you saying this? Hashtag Blue Lives Matter. Well, maybe their dad or their husband was a police officer who was killed in the line of duty. Okay, you're going to stand differently.
Right.
You know, maybe hashtag Black Lives Matters is, my brother was killed at a random auto stop or whatever, traffic stop, right? Hashtag Kids Lives Matter. Maybe you really, really, really care that your kid has asthma and you don't want him wearing a mask.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know, but I can't just show up and go, you guys are all idiots for saying
That's the
hashtag
part that
Kids Lives Matter.
You can't start a conversation.
Right.
I expect you to go good.
You can't, right? Which is tough and terrible.
Terrible.
That's little Charles Barkley. Terrible, right? But yet we do when it comes to race. We do when it comes to issues that we're uncomfortable with. As I judge you quickly, and I don't care why. I don't care what your story is, right? All I care about is you're blowing it up and the but, and there's one instance that I can pull out that says otherwise.
And listen to me because I know everything.
Right.
And your experience has no weight to the conversation.
Right. So the idea that we look at here at Bridging Civil Tension 21.6 and that is, if Phil and I can argue, if we can stretch you a little bit, if we can get you out of your comfort zone, then perhaps I don't look at the person in the store with a mask on and go, weirdo. It's one of those germaphobes, right? In 2018, what would we have said? That person needs to see a psychologist. Why are they out in a mask? Germaphobe. Wow.
That guy's
put him in a bubble.
Right.
Now we're like, good for you.
Yeah.
You're comfortable doing that?
Be safe.
You be safe. I appreciate it, So, that's it. Get them brain juices flowing. Right. That's the whole idea. Because if you can start thinking differently, then we can create change.
Right. You'll live differently.
Still water runs deep. I love this. Look, Gary's on his game today. Gary, you got to host this.
Got a page of quotes. What else? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. As Bruce Lee said, be the water.
Be the water, right?
Water put in cup becomes cup. Right. You be the water. That's it. And the only way thanks, Mel. Melissa says, amen, Kent. And the only way that we can affect change is to look at things differently in life.
Right.
Listen, that's how, that is absolutely how things, things work.
There's no, he told you, he's got a book of quotes.
That's it. A rolling stone gathers no moss or is high on cocaine. Oh, wrong Rolling Stone?
Wrong Rolling Stone.
Sorry.
I like where your energy's at.
Nate says, wearing a mask has its perks, hides my beautiful smile. I mean, there are those memes like, be careful what's underneath there. You see the lady with one, she's got like a tooth, like, hey, you're like, oh, wow. That's it. I'm on a roll, as Stuart Scott.
Come on.
As Stuart Scott would say, he's like butter.
Like butter, baby.
Like butter. Cool as the other side of the pillow. God rest his soul. Right? So we're rolling in last 2 minutes. Listen, we appreciate everybody who's here. We want to stretch you. Some of our shows, you're like, what does a mask mandate have to do with what you guys normally talk about? Well, that's it. There's a parallel there. Right. And that's what we really wanted to pull out, is just to say, okay, y'all are fighting for this.
Yeah. I mean, also the name of the show is Bridging Civil Tension, not just bridging racism.
Right.
Right. So things that are causing civil tension just across world, nation, whatever.
Right.
And one of the things is the mask mandate and then the vaccination and just how people are approaching the conversation as far as these idiots on this side or those dummies on that side. And it's got to stop.
It's got to stop.
Talk to people respectfully if you want to be heard.
It's got to stop.
Most people want to be heard so bad but refuse to listen. If you start there, you'd be surprised what kind of results you get.
Yeah. So, everybody, thanks for joining us. Stick around. Right after this, we've got the Success Journey podcast with our good friends Ricky Vetters and Marlon Maddens. Tune in right here, 21.6 Net. Come back at noon for our good friends, the Dream Home Experts. For Phil and I, thanks for getting caught in the net. This has been Bridging Civil Tension. Say, do you want to talk about something? send us your thoughts, and we can bring it up for sure. For all of us here, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned in. 2116.
Love you guys.